In today's webinar, you will learn how site selectors and companies are using GIS to select your communities for investment, how to best serve your local businesses, and ways to outcompete other communities. Hundreds of economic development organizations already use this technology, and research shows that most will have it in the coming years. You will learn best practices from around the nation, simple ways to effectively implement a program, and how to evaluate the best GIS technology based on your specific needs. Our speakers for today's webinar include leading experts in the field of web-based GIS, including Anatalio Ubalde, co-founder of GIS Planning, and David Meehan, policy analyst at the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. Anatalio Ubalde is CEO of GIS Planning, Inc., an economic development internet service company, and ZoomProspector.com, an online site selection and business intelligence service. Mr. Ubalde works with organizations to foster enhanced economic development using internet technology. His company's software strategies serve over 11,000 cities across the nation. His work has been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Business Week, Inc. magazine, Forbes, Fortune, and the New York Times. Before GIS Planning, he worked for years in local economic development.
Thank you. I'll very briefly start by putting GIS in a framework that's relevant for economic development professionals today. I'll start with how it started. The first web-based GIS for economic development was launched for a San Francisco suburb in 1998 and was developed by GIS Planning. When it launched, it was recognized by the Wall Street Journal, which brought attention to the program, and that's an image of the website when it debuted. Many of the core features of that website have had tremendous staying power and are present in many modern-day GIS systems for economic development. This program inspired an economic development online revolution, which has spread across the nation. Now this technology is used by hundreds of economic development organizations, some with communities of a few thousand people and others with millions. This chart tracks the growth over time. Today we're entering a tipping point for GIS on economic development websites. This chart shows the results of national research about the use of interactive tools on economic development websites. There are three things measured in this chart: demographic reports, site selection analysis with GIS, which is what we're talking about today, and interactive maps. In green is what economic development organizations across the country had on their websites in 2011, and the blue shows what they will add in the next few years. Here you can see that interactive maps is currently at 44% and will grow to 78%. GIS is at 44% and will grow to 76%. And demographic reports is at 30% and will grow to 67%. As you can see, we're quickly nearing the tipping point in which the majority of organizations will have interactive features such as GIS on their websites. There's another important thing to know as it relates to this trend. There's an advantage for you to have tools, features, and services that other organizations do not have. So up to 50%, you have a competitive advantage over the majority. Beyond 50%, you have to play the game of catch-up. You're going to add features to your website not because it's an advantage, but because you're at a competitive disadvantage. You're adding what your competitors already provide. The problem with waiting to implement something everyone has is that there's no competitive advantage for you, but it costs you just as much. This is why your window of opportunity is occurring now, by implementing this interactive technology before your competitors. There was a national survey which was just concluded looking at the most effective features of an economic development website, and those results are shown on this table. An effective economic development GIS tool delivers many of the most important features, as is shown here. And if the tool doesn't deliver these things, it's a poor quality GIS system. This is a post I saw on LinkedIn from Ronnie Bryant, the CEO of Charlotte, USA. He posted, "The whole site selection process has become so data-driven we come into the process much later." New research confirms this trend. This comes from a national survey of corporate real estate professionals and site selection consultants. The chart shows the different phases of the site selection process. The red line shows when these professionals visit your website to do research, and blue shows when they contact a person from your economic development organization to gather further information. What you can see is the vast majority of research is happening on your website, and personal contact doesn't catch up until the analysis of the short list of locations. What this means is that companies are evaluating and eliminating communities before the economic developers even have a chance to talk with them. With this much at stake, you can have a 133% advantage by providing the information these businesses are looking for on your website, and GIS delivers that information effectively.
Thank you, Mr. Ubalde. Now we present David Meehan, who is Policy Analyst at the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. Mr. Meehan has a bachelor's degree in political science and business from Hanover College. In the past, he has worked as special assistant to Indiana Governor Mitch Daniels, where he was responsible for traveling with the governor on official state business. Mr. Meehan has since joined the team at the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. His duties entail special projects of interest within the agency, including, but not limited to, acting as an advisor to the Secretary of Commerce on issues related to the federal stimulus package, Director of Compliance, and liaison between the agency, the Department of Workforce Development, and the Office of Community and Rural Affairs. Mr. Meehan has also been responsible for rolling out the state's new GIS sites and buildings website.
My name is David Meehan. I work for the state of Indiana. I work for an agency called the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. We went through the process a while back trying to choose a new forum in which we could host our sites and buildings. And the reason why we went about this process is because we had an interface that was built by research arm of a local university. And we wanted to go with a company. This is what they did for a living. This is how they put food on the table. And this company that we went with, GIS Planning, had been around for years. They were kind of pioneers in the whole field of site and building databases. Their offices are in California, in Silicon Valley. You don't get any more professional in the computer world, and they've been great ever since. One of the key factors in choosing GIS technology was quantity and quality of data. It was important for us to provide our website viewers with the depth of data that they needed to make business site selection decisions that would lead to investments in Indiana. The ease of use of the website was also an important factor in our deciding which solution to pick. GIS implementations can be very complex, and we wanted to deliver an exceptional and intuitive user experience. Industry experience. GIS is a sophisticated technology, and it was important for us to find a company with the most experience with these kinds of implementations. GIS Planning has over 98% of the economic development market, and this was an important factor in the decision making because it shows that their technology is the industry standard that almost all economic development organizations are embracing. Truly integrate with our website. Indiana already had a powerful website in place, and actually we're going through a process currently of revamping our website, and we wanted a really sharp property interface tool in that as well. If you're going to spend that kind of money and take that kind of time to make a good website, then you want to make sure that everything looks sharp. Best user experience, which means more choices for your user. We provide the maximum choices for website users with functionalities that will really allow them to dynamically interact with the data and find what they need, not just run PDF reports. Comprehensive solution and expertise. Well, in addition to having kind of some of the best technology in the market, we wanted a long-term partner that would really be there to help us with all assets of a successful website. We want someone who provides help in reaching out to expanding and relocating businesses. GIS Planning not only promotes the state of Indiana through their national site selection website, zoomprospector.com. They also market us through their integrated network of marketing partners like Site Selection, Business Facilities, Business Expansion Journal, and International Economic Development Council. On top of providing all this added value, they also had the best price. We were extremely surprised by the price that was offered to us in the selection process from a company that had such a solid share of the market. To be able to offer a price like that, it's probably easier for them to do it because they have more customers. So now we'll go through a tutorial of the website. As a state organization, it's important that we provide businesses with the ability to search for all the communities in our state that could be a good match. That provides equal promotion to all our communities, and it's the way that site selectors think. If you're a local economic development organization, this may not be as important to you because you simply want the business in your community, but it is still useful to see how this can be done. To accomplish this, you can go to the Indiana Site Selection website. From here, you can search for communities to find all of the different communities that match your need. I'll show you that here. You can do a search by city or county. Let's say Evansville. It'll automatically generate for you. In this case, let's search for a community with a population between 20,000 and 150,000. Let's enter some parameters for labor force. To 20 to 40. Transportation. To domestic airport in the county. So enter nearest interstate. So let's specify household income. As you can see, you can do a powerful multivariable search and immediately get all the communities that match those specific requirements. You can also scroll through all the matching community results below in this very cool iPhone-like interface. I can also use the search button to search for buildings. But since I've already searched for communities that match my site selection search, I can only search for properties in these matching communities by selecting the Find in Communities menu and selecting Search for Buildings under these communities links. Now, if someone is doing a general search for buildings, they can enter very detailed requirements within seconds, and it will give you all the matching results. You can view more information about the property directly on the map. You can also view all the available details about that specific property. You'll notice that we can look at the map of this property many different ways. Now let's try Street View. This gives the business the opportunity to take a virtual tour of the area from anywhere in the world. Now let's go back to the main map. You also have the flexibility to save just the property or the reports around that property. For example, the labor force or demographics report. And of course, you can choose to save all the reports around that property. This is very important because it allows users to gather the exact information they need to find the perfect location that they need. You can also share any of these reports by sending a link or via any of the most current social media sites. Notice how fast these reports get created. But what's even more is that all this happens within our own website. When we evaluated other technologies, we didn't like that they pushed you off of our website. And they pushed the reports in a PDF form or non-web page format, which is really not a helpful experience for the site select. Also, it is extremely slow and not user-friendly for the goal of analysis. We knew that would turn off our business prospects. Now you can also see that each property has a wealth of information around it. If you click on the Labor Force tab, it automatically shows you the number of establishments and employees within 10 miles. But if you change your mind about the distance, it's as simple as entering a new number. You also have the option to pick drive times instead. And the way it shows results right on our website is really the fastest and most user-friendly that I've had the experience of in the market. Now if you take a look at the demographic report, there's a lot of data. We looked at other options, and this report really had the deepest data, which was important to us because that's the whole point of the technology. to provide businesses with the deep data analysis they need. Our data is the deepest and the broadest of what I've experienced of the websites that are around. We also get our data from IBRC, which is the individuals who had created the website for us before. IBRC is an acronym for Indiana Business Research Center. And they do something called Hoosiers by the Numbers. But I think this data that is offered by GIS Planning is a little bit more in-depth because they use a private company to do it, and they collect data from multiple sources, not just kind of census level data. You can also click on the chart link, and automatically a graphic shows the demographic data. It's another way to communicate the story of the data to the business. Some people like the hard numbers, and others want a more visual way, like graphs and charts. You can also do some really rich data overlays. The demographic reports you have seen so far are hard numbers or graphs. The data, demographics, and businesses change in different locations. So to see demographics spatially, you can click on population, and you see a visual layout of the concentration of the populations. The household income. What was important for us was the ability to do this at the most granular level of geoanalysis, the census block group. County level just didn't provide the kind of quality data we wanted to give to our users. For some of your regions, retail may be important, and here are the things that we can show. You can also see a display of all businesses around that property. Again, you can easily change the distance. The interaction between the map and the report is completely dynamic in real time because the reports and maps are generated right within our website. That's why I was able to easily change the distance. Here's another example. I'll click on a business in the report, and the map zooms to that location. Now I'll click on a nearby business, and a push pin is placed there, and I see additional information about that business. As you can pick a specific industry, and you'll only see businesses within that industry. You can also define unique characteristics of that industry. For example, let's only select businesses with 10 employees or more and with revenue over $1 million. Now we map only those businesses. Or you can search by business name. Let's go back and search for all the Starbucks within 50 miles of the location. Some businesses want to do market research for business investment in Indiana. That is not related to an available property. They may simply want to understand where businesses are by name, industry, or other variables. They can do this directly by clicking on Search. thanks for your time, and best of luck in searching for the right partner in your GIS system.
David, thank you so much for a terrific demo of your website, as well as your insights as to what makes for a great and effective web-based GIS for economic development. Now I'd like to summarize some of the points that you made, which are really the priority factors so that economic developers can have the most effective GIS website possible. The first is a user-friendly and familiar experience that has a wow factor to it. And you could see that with, as David slid the properties and the reports across the screen using that iPhone-like experience, or the dynamic features of having all of the reports generated in seconds. As user-friendly and familiar as you want it, you don't want to compromise on the power, features, and tools of a true GIS analysis. You don't want a lightweight website that doesn't get the hard work done that businesses want to do to consider investing in your community. Also, at the end of the day, the reason that these businesses are coming to your website is to gather data and information about why they should locate or expand or relocate or start up in your community. So the amount and quality of data is critical to achieve that goal. A fourth is that data analysis integration within the website is important. You saw that all of the reports all happened on the fly right within the Indiana website. It didn't push you out into a PDF or an Excel spreadsheet. It didn't take many steps. It all happened within their website, which is the best user experience. Also, there's value of being connected to a national system of site selection analysis and properties, and being networked and marketed through the media focusing on the corporate real estate community. The more places you can be found, the more places your community can be promoted. You really leverage the power of these existing networks. And finally, the experience of the vendor and seeing what the industry of economic development is embracing. I'd like to focus just on one of these 6 elements, which is the amount and quality of data. Because after Indiana launched their website, we were very curious to see how it ranked, how it compared as a benchmark compared to other states with dissimilar web-based GIS systems. And so what we discovered is that Indiana, which is shown in blue, and then there are 2 comparison states, one in red and one in green. We won't say the names so we don't embarrass those states. But you can see that Indiana had twice as many demographic reports as these other states and had more than 3 times as many demographic categories within these reports. So it's a significant advantage for the state of Indiana in terms of what they're able to deliver to their customers. So here are 6 priority factors which economic developers can consider when deciding how to have the most effective GIS website.
Now we will move on to the question and answer portion of this webinar. If you have not already done so, please submit your questions in the questions portion of the webinar software. We will try to get to as many questions as possible, but if we are not able to answer your question in this session, we will make sure to get back to you after the webinar. The first question is, why do you think so many EDOs are implementing GIS on their websites? David, would you like to answer that?
Sure. And talking to EDOs just even yesterday, you have cities up even in northern Indiana who are saying that they want individuals who are coming in, clients who are coming in looking at their territory, to be able to get a good picture of the properties that are in their area. And they don't want that client to be redirected into competing with properties in other communities. So a lot of local EDOs, we refer to them here as LEDOs, as in local economic development organizations, see a lot of value in having a property interface on their own local sites because of that whole competitive nature of one county versus another county. We like it when people go to the state site and everyone puts in quality information on the state site, because we see a win for one county in Indiana in comparison to a win in for another county in Indiana as a win for the state. But counties, as is your job as a marketer for that individual area, they view that additional tool as an additional invaluable marketing tool for them.
Okay. Anatalio, this question is for you. Can you tell us more about the National Site Selection website mentioned in the presentation?
Sure, that's zoomprospector.com, which is a project that took us over a decade to make. And the reason for that's because we needed hundreds of clients across the nation to make it credible and useful to the business users. This is why it'd be so difficult for anyone new to try to do this. On zoomprospector.com, we have demographic, geographic, and business data for every community in the USA. So anyone who's on this webinar within the US, we have data on your community. However, only subscribers to the service have properties and local GIS data, because we can't gather the local data and promote the community properties with which organizations we have no relationship. We also partnered with the International Economic Development Council on this project, and this is their official service. And we also partnered with Site Selection Magazine, Business Facilities, and Business Expansion Journal magazines to promote the website. So basically, zoomprospector.com is embedded within every one of the media's websites, and this allows zoomprospector.com to reach a larger audience of your target customers and audience.
The next question is for David. How did Indiana gather the demographic and business data?
Well, actually, we didn't really gather our demographic data. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that GIS Planning provides all the business and demographic data. The only data that we input into the system is the data that is relevant to that individual property that's being input, and all of our local economic development organizations input that data on a regular basis.
And with that, we will conclude this presentation. Thank you, everyone, for your participation, and have a wonderful day.